Over the last few days, I've been reading The Archive Undying by Mieko Candon. So this is a fantasy sci-fi kind of story, and it's set in a universe that appears to largely be run by AIs. So they have these artificial intelligence like entities that kind of serve like gods or guardian deities of different cities or city states and stuff. So they rule over like different areas, and they each have like their own preferences in like the kind of city they run and like the kind of people they like and how they interact with their citizens. And they also manipulate, I guess, large robots and other, kind of artificial entities to do things for them, like guard places and, participate in different types of activities. But sometimes one of these AIs will get corrupted, and when that happens, like the entire city like basically gets destroyed because they're linked into so much of the structure of things that when they die they take a lot of people and a lot of structures and stuff with them. So the main character for this story is called Sunai, and his city state, I guess, was called like Iterate Fractal, and it was really interested in more biological things, so like plants, animals, people, and it had really close ties to all of this. So when it died some time ago, I think it was like 17 years, it killed basically almost everybody, like, and everything within its boundaries, except before it died, it brought Sunai back to life. Like, he actually briefly passed away and was revived, I guess. And ever since then, he has been unable to die. Like, he appears to be somewhat frozen in time. And he left the area and hasn't really stopped running. Like, he had a really complicated relationship with that particular AI, and the place in general, and like there's a lot of things that he doesn't really want to think about, doesn't really want to face, doesn't really want to deal with. So he's been basically running around everywhere and just kind of avoiding it, because he's also what they call a relic. So something else that happened in this universe is that there's this organization called the Harbor that harvests like the corpses of these AIs that die and turn them into robots that they put to their own purposes, like to guard the cities and stuff that they have a strong presence in. Only in order to make these robots work, they need a relic, which is a person who was connected to the AI at the moment when it died, but who didn't get killed by that experience. Like, they need someone who can interface, I guess, with it. And so Sunai, he's one of the only people, only relics for that particular city. So he doesn't want to be essentially like kidnapped and forced into serving as a conduit, I guess, for if they're able to use the corpse of that particular AI to create some type of monster, like war machine type thing. So yeah, anyways, the story begins when he, like, because he tends to have a lot of one-night stands, and one of his one-night stands turns out to be with this doctor who recruits him to participate on this venture he has, going out to explore some temple that it seems like no one else has ever found before. And this sets off a whole chain of events that kind of forces Sunai to make some choices and to stop running away, like to face up to what happened back in his home city state and possibly to return to it in order to protect, I guess, the people that he cares about. So let's see, something that I liked. This was a really interesting world to read about, since it does work really, really differently from our own. And like, even though it's technically really high tech, since they have things like AIs and the ability to like manipulate things like neural networks and stuff like that. It's really has a much more biological dash organic kind of take on robots and technology. I mean, I admit that kind of creates imagery that I find a little gross sometimes. Like biology was my least favorite school subject for a reason. Like they have like robots that grow roots into people and, stuff like that. So some of the imagery is kind of off-putting, but like I said, it's kind of an interesting world to read about. It's also the first novel I've ever read that uses things like mechas, which I tend to associate more with like Japanese anime than books. So that was kind of interesting. But a couple of things that I did not like, I guess there's only really two that really stand out. One is that this story does swap between different points of view, and one of those points of view is second person. Like the second person, I think, is primarily like one of the AIs talking to or about some of the other mainer characters, but I find second person extremely irritating no matter how it's used or where. So I really didn't like those sections. The other thing was that this turned out to be the kind of story where you have a lot of characters constantly like betraying other characters, and that tends to create an atmosphere that I don't particularly like. Like if I can't trust any of the characters to be who they are or to be good people, like it makes it hard for me to care what happens to them, I guess, because I just find it difficult to like them. So would I read the sequel? Because I think this is the first book of a series. Probably, depending on what the summary said it was about.